Welcome to the Rent Control Board's General Adjustment tutorial. In this presentation, we will guide you in calculating the annual increase to a tenant's rent. All you will need to follow along is the Notice of Change in Terms of Tenancy, the MAR report, and your tax bill if applicable. Please get those forms out and let's get started. Remember, you can start and stop this tutorial at your own pace.
We will be going through what makes up the components of the maximum lawful rent. We will go step by step in calculating the annual increase, and we will end the presentation on how to contact an information coordinator analyst to assist you if you have more questions. What makes up the components of the maximum lawful rent? First, we have the MAR, which is the maximum allowable rent. This is the base rent without any registration fees or surcharges. Secondly, one half of the registration fees can be added if they are paid on time. Thirdly, if eligible, surcharges can be added to the rent. There are 5 items off the owner's property tax bill that could be passed through to tenants.
Each year, around June, the board mails out information on what the general adjustment rent increase will be for September. The Notice of Change in Terms of Tenancy and the MAR report will help in calculating the annual increase. It is a good idea to pay attention to this report, which will alert you if any tenancies have not been registered or if a tenant is not eligible for the increase. There are several different ways to contact the rent control agency. You can call, email, or come in person. The Rent Control Agency's website is a great resource for information. One feature is our Look Up a Rent portal. To find the rents for a particular property, just plug in the address and it will populate with the current MAR.
How is the MAR determined? Before the law was changed, if the tenant moved in before 1999, the rent went with the unit and was registered with the rent in effect on April 10, 1978, with all subsequent increases to the present. When the law changed, if the tenant moved in after 1999, the rent goes with the tenant. That owner can reset the MAR or rent with each tenancy and must register that rent with the board. That is why it is very important that for each new tenancy, the rent is registered so that we can track the rent with the allowable increases. You can register tenancies on the agency's website or create your own Civics account.
There are several requirements in order to pass through the annual increases to tenants, which are listed on this slide. If the owner is not in compliance with these requirements and increases the tenant's rent, a tenant could file an excess rent complaint with the rent control agency. Remember, always register new tenancies and give the tenant an information sheet. Pay your registration fees on time. Give proper written notice to your tenants with the Notice of Change in Terms of Tenancy form provided to you. Once you have complied with these requirements, there should be no problem in increasing the rent. Now, let's begin calculating the annual increase. This is a sample form of the Notice of Change in Terms of Tenancy that was mailed to you. Take particular notice of the numbers circled in black. Lines 1, 2, and 3 refer to the MAR. You can also go on the website and download a fillable version of the increase notice. State law requires either a 30 or 90-day notice depending on how much the rent was increased. It is usually a 30-day notice if the increase is 10% or less. This form, once properly filled out, will be sent to the tenant, not to rent control. This is a sample of the MAR report that you received to guide you in calculating the increases. If you look at the MAR report, each unit will have the current MAR as of June in the column that is numbered 1 at the top. The column that is numbered 1 will always provide information on whether it's a Section 8 tenant or if there is a registration form pending. The column that is numbered 2 at the top provides information on whether you may increase the rent for the unit by 2.3% or by $60, whichever is less this year. If you see N/E, it means a unit is not eligible yet for an increase, or the owner did not declare giving the tenant the information sheet. The second column next to the unit ID refers to the date a market rate tenant moved in. Look at these dates to see if you have registered recent tenancies with the board.
Follow the numbering system laid out for you. Columns that are numbered 1, 2, and 3 at the top on the MAR report correlate to circled numbers on lines 1, 2, and 3 on the board form for noticing rent increases.
Remember, the old MAR is not what you are collecting now. It will not include the registration fees and surcharges. Those will be added back again later. As an example, we will enter the old MAR of 1,102 for Unit 2. That was on the column that is numbered 1 at the top on the sample MAR report. Enter the increase from the column that is numbered 2 at the top on the MAR report and place it on the circled line 2. For example, 2.3% of 1,102 is $25. Add lines 1 and 2 and place on line 3, or look at the MAR report in the column numbered 3 at the top of the MAR report, which has already been calculated for you, which is 1,127, and place it on line 3. The second component of the maximum lawful rent are the registration fees that can be passed through to a tenant. Remember, only 1/2 can be passed through to the tenant. The current registration fees are $240 per unit per year. 1/2 of that is $10, which can be passed through per month if registration fees are paid on time. An owner will not have to pay registration fees if a waiver has been approved for a unit. These type of waivers are for low-income senior and disabled tenants and Section 8 tenants. There is also a waiver for owners if they are living on the property and own at least 25%. Once the application is approved, the owner is not paying the registration fee on that unit and should not be passing through the fees to those tenants. If there is no waiver of the registration fees, enter $10 on line 4. The third component of the maximum lawful rent are the surcharges. There are 5 items off the property tax bill that can be passed through to the tenants. Unified schools, community college, school district parcel tax, which is Measure R, stormwater management user fee, and clean beach tax.
If passing through these surcharges, the property tax bill must be attached to the notice. Remember that new tenancies and properties reassessed on or after March 1st of 2018 cannot have surcharges passed through to tenants. There are also limitations on the total amount that can be passed through to the tenant.
Looking at the sample property tax bill, the 5 items are shown in bold as they will appear on the actual property tax bill. Make copies of the property tax bill to attach with the increase notice. There are exemptions for some surcharges for owners and tenants. One of these exemptions is the school district special tax or Measure R on line 5C of the increase notice. If you don't see this tax on your bill, then you have an exemption. An owner who is senior and lives on the property can apply for this exemption of the tax. Please call the number listed on the slide for an application.
The exemption from the Clean Beach tax is available to low-income owners and low-income tenants. Tenants can apply for the exemption of the Clean Beach tax by filling out a form with the rent control agency. Owners can contact the Office of Sustainability and Environment listed on the slide. Remember to reduce the number of units for this line item in your calculation if a tenant is exempt from this tax. If the owner is exempt, the tax will not show up on the tax bill. Follow the numbering system set up for you. Columns that are numbered 1, 2, and 3 on the MAR report correlate to lines 1, 2, and 3 on the board's form for noticing rent increases. The 5 items off the property tax bill correlate to lines 5A, B, C, D, and E on the increase notice. Enter the amounts from the tax bill onto the notice of increase form. Enter the exact amount since the law does not call for any rounding.
Enter the total number of units. If someone has an exemption of the Clean Beaches tax, that line will be divided by the number of remaining units. The actual surcharges for each fiscal year may be collected in monthly installments commencing the following January 1st or any month within the same calendar year and continuing for the next 12 months thereafter. For example, if the monthly surcharges begins in September and continues for 12 months, it will end in August and will be recalculated again in September with the new property tax bill.
Now calculate the surcharges by dividing it by the number of units on the property. Remember, if you have an exemption for the Clean Beach tax, reduce the number of units. Enter the exact amount of the tax. The law does not call for any rounding.
Divide the surcharge by 12 months to get the monthly per unit amount and enter it in the last column. Enter the exact amount of the tax. The law does not call for any rounding. Once calculated, add lines 5A through 5E and enter the exact amount in 5F.
Multiply line 3 by 4% and enter the amount on line 5G. Now that we have calculated 5F and 5G, the amount entered on line 5 will be the lesser of 5F, 5G, or $35. In this sample, it is $8.40. The total of lines 3 4, and 5 for the maximum lawful rent. Enter the exact amount. Sign your name and date the form. Now you are ready to send the form to your tenants with a copy of the property tax bill.
There are several different ways to contact us. You can come visit our office at City Hall, call, email, or visit our website.
You can navigate our website for information on downloading forms, registering tenancies, and paying the registration fees. There are a lot of great new features to the website, including signing up for a Civics account, which will streamline submitting forms to the agency. This will conclude our presentation.